We just wanted to let the folks that are joining in right now know that we have English and Spanish interpretations available. Shortly, we'll be giving some instructions on that. But if we do have some Spanish speakers and listeners, you're more than welcome to listen in Spanish as well. So we'll be going through that shortly. We're just giving a couple more minutes for some folks to log in. Thank you. Buenas noches, gracias por atender este seminario web. Para que ustedes sepan, tenemos hoy noche interpretaciones en español. Pronto estaremos dando la información de cómo poder escuchar este seminario en español, pero denos un par de minutos, estamos esperando que más gente entre al seminario y vamos a explicarle cómo hacer eso. Gracias. So yeah, we can go ahead and get started. I'm not sure if my internet's a little unstable.
Perfect. Thank you, Melody. Senator Brooks and his staff would like to welcome you to this evening's webinar regarding the New York State Homeowners Assistance Fund. Welcome everyone for joining us this evening. We will be having Spanish interpretation as well. And, before we get started, we would like to go through some housekeeping items.
Patty,
This webinar.
sorry, Lucia, Patty, if you wouldn't mind interpreting for this.
Buenas noches y muchas gracias por estar con nosotros en esta noche. El senador Brooks y el personal le gustaría darle las bienvenidas a todos que se reúnen con nosotros esta noche. Entonces, en esos momentos vamos a discutir unas reglas para la presentación. Gracias.
This webinar is provided in both English and Spanish. In a few moments, we will be activating the interpretation functions and you will see a button pop up on your screen. If you would like to hear this webinar in Spanish, please click Spanish. If you would like to hear this in English, you do not need to do anything.
Esta presentación será transmitida en español y en inglés. Entonces, si le gustaría escuchar esta presentación en español, vamos a dar unas instrucciones en breve.
Soon we'll be seeing a screen. Melody, I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing a screen where we could actually see the applications that, okay, perfect.
Yeah, so we do have a couple options if you're joining as an attendee. You'll be seeing the raise hand function, which you can use if you're having any audio or video issues. Then you also have the Q&A button. We ask that you submit any questions that you have in that box, and we'll be able to address those at the end of the webinar. And then lastly, we also have the chat function, which you can feel free to use to engage with other attendees, and the panelists may share some links and information through there as well. Thank you.
Melody, do we take it away?
Not the interpretation.
Not yet. Sorry.
I'm not sure if they're going to do the translation on that.
They're already separate in the other channels.
Beautiful. Okay, so we'll move on forward. Thank you, Melody. So again, this evening, we are joined by expert representatives to provide you with information about the Homeowners Assistance Fund and answer any questions that you may have. And we encourage those that are interested in this funding opportunity to start preparing those necessary documents to apply when that portal opens in January 3rd. So the program is provided on a first come, first served basis, and the department expects to receive more applications than there are funds that might allow that to happen. So therefore, we encourage our community members to get prepared now. And at this moment, I would like to introduce to you our panelists. We are really privileged to have them here and honored to have them join us this evening. We have a representative from, we have Dina Levy. She is SVP, Homeownership and Community Development. We also have Amy Chun. She is the New York State Home Association Director of Home CR. And then we have Rosemary Cantano. She's the New York Legal Assistant Group. And then Trisha Glinton. She's the Community Development Corporation of Long Island. So I would like to welcome everyone here and thank you for taking this time to join us this evening to talk about this important funding available to those homeowners.
Thank you so much. So again, thank you all for having us. And I want to say a special thanks to Senator Brooks and his entire team for pulling this together. It is very important to us at the State Affordable Housing Agency Homes and Community Renewal to make sure that we're getting the word out about this program, the New York State Homeowner Assistance Fund, or HAF, out to communities well in advance of when we open the application portal in January, which we'll talk more about in a moment. But thank you very much for allowing us this opportunity to talk directly to the communities that may be affected. So I'm going to run us through some basic overview of the program. To begin with, folks should know that this is a federally funded program. It came as a result of a bill that Congress passed back in March under the American Rescue Plan Act. It is being overseen by the U.S. Department of Treasury, and every state has been awarded a certain amount of funds to help homeowners who may be at risk as a result of an impact from COVID. The risk we're particularly concerned with are those who may be facing default or risk of foreclosure or displacement, again, as a result of the impacts of COVID on homeowners across the state of New York. There are a number of eligible uses that these funds can go toward. So certainly homeowners who have a mortgage and may have fallen behind as a result of COVID, homeowners who may not have a mortgage, but may have fallen behind on things like taxes or water and sewer bills. It can also assist with homeowners who live in co-ops or condos, again, with or without a mortgage, if they've fallen behind on those monthly fees that you pay, so sometimes called maintenance, sometimes called HOA fees. And also, and I know we have a bunch of these in Long Island, for manufactured homeowners who may live in a manufactured home park, if they have fallen behind on money they've borrowed to acquire their home, or on their monthly fee that they pay to the park owner, often called lot rent. Again, we are launching a community outreach campaign in advance of the application window opening to make sure that homeowners have plenty of time and information in advance of coming to apply for the program. But we do want you to know that we are opening the application window on January 3rd, so right after the holiday, and we'll talk more about what you should do on that day. In terms of the eligibility requirements for the New York State HAF program, again, much of this comes from the rules that both Congress and the Department of Treasury set. So the first is that you must be a homeowner in the state of New York, and you must live in that home as your primary residence. Generally, primary residence means that it's the home that you live in most of the year. And there are ways that we will be asking for verification that homeowners applying use that home as their primary residence. The second requirement is that an applicant must have endured a financial hardship as a result of COVID, or what they call a COVID financial hardship. That is defined generally as one of two things, either that the homeowner has experienced a material increase in their monthly expenses, or that as a result of COVID, they endured a reduction or a significant reduction in income. The homeowners at the time of application either have to be behind on their monthly payments, so whether that's mortgage payments or co-op fees or taxes, you must be able to show that there's a delinquency that you're trying to address. There is an exception for that, which is if you are a mortgage borrower who is in an agreement with your bank or your lender, sometimes called a forbearance agreement, and you are not technically behind, you are still strongly encouraged to apply for the program. Finally, there is an income requirement that Treasury has imposed, and we have expanded that definition a little bit in New York to say that all applicants who are applying for this program must earn equal to or less than 100% of the average median income in their county. I'm going to talk more about the documents that we have on our website in a minute so that folks can look to see how they would qualify for those funds. But there is a chart on our website that shows you what that 100% area median income equates to for both Nassau and Suffolk County, as well as every county around the state. As some examples below I've showed, and this is the area median income is related to household size. So if there's a 1-person household, you can see in Nassau and Suffolk, the income cap for eligibility is about just under 91,000. For a family of 2, it's just under 104,000. For a family of 3, it's just under 117,000. And for a family of 4, it's just under 130,000. And again, that is the household annual income based on family size. So under this program, applicants can apply for whatever type of housing, careers, or challenge that they're having. There is a cap that the program has established so that any application, and this applies to the entire household, is capped at $50,000. So you may end up applying for more than one type of relief or one type of intervention, as we call it, which I'll talk about in a second. And it's fine to do that. So for instance, a homeowner who is behind on their mortgage, but also maybe is behind on their co-op or condo fees, if they have a mortgage and live in a condo or a co-op, can apply for both their mortgage delinquency and for assistance with their missed HOA or condo or co-op fees. But combined, the award to any one household will not exceed $50,000. So now we should talk a little bit about these different interventions. Again, there are 3 under this program. The first is primarily for those applicants who do have a mortgage. And again, whether they've fallen behind on that mortgage and are considered delinquent, or whether they're still in an agreement with their lender in which they were able to pause making mortgage payments, often called a forbearance agreement. The first program, which we're calling mortgage reinstatement or principal reduction, is really intended to serve those applicants who do have a mortgage. It may be that we need to help you get current on missed payments, or it may be that you actually need some of the amount that you owe overall to be reduced, which is often called a principal reduction, in order to make sure that your monthly payment is lowered such that if you've lost income, you can afford your monthly payment going forward. The second intervention we're calling arrears satisfaction. This is generally for the other types of homeowner delinquencies, so co-op and condo owners who are behind on HOA or maintenance fees, manufactured homeowners who have fallen behind on their home debt, or maybe behind on their monthly payment to their manufactured home park owner, often called lot rent, or homeowners who have fallen behind on their property taxes or their water or their sewage bills. Here, generally, we expect to see homeowners applying in order to make up arrearages or missed payments that occurred during COVID. And then the last program we're calling forward payments. This is specifically for homeowners who are currently unemployed or who have recently exhausted their unemployment benefits. In that case, homeowners can apply for forward payments, meaning up to 6 months, so consecutive months going forward, assistance where the program would pay your future housing payments for up to 6 months. And here the goal obviously is to help folks buy time, hopefully to regain employment, and be able to get back into assuming their regular monthly payments. Again, any of these interventions can be used in combination. So you could be applying for both forward payments and an arrear satisfaction. That is perfectly fine under the program, but the total award will be capped at $50,000 per household. In terms of administering the program, so HER, as I said at the top of the conversation, so Homes and Community Renewal is the New York State Affordable Housing Agency. We have been designated by the legislature to oversee the HAF program. We, through a competitive process, did something called a request for proposals to identify a not-for-profit partner who would help us administrate the program. We were very lucky to find ourselves with a partnership with Sustainable Neighborhoods LLC. Again, this is a not-for-profit organization that has been around since 2008. It has a very, very deep background in working on foreclosure prevention programs across the state of New York. They are super, super knowledgeable about these types of programs and ran multiple programs during the last housing crisis. And we are very lucky to have them as a partner. In addition, New York State Homes and Community Renewal has built a partnership with the New York State Attorney General's office. So this here is very specifically an intervention we're using to make sure that mortgaged borrowers, predominantly those who have a mortgage, are getting cooperation from their bank or their mortgage company. There are a number of requirements that banks are expected to follow as a result of COVID in terms of providing relief to mortgaged borrowers. And we want to make sure that all applicants to the HAF program are getting all that they're entitled to from their bank or their lender, in addition to whatever HAF funds may be necessary. And so we do have a team of attorneys at the New York State Attorney General's office who will be working with us to make sure that homeowners are getting all the relief they're entitled to. And then finally, and we'll hear from a couple of our partner organizations under this program in a moment, there is the Homeowner Protection Program, or the HAP network. So this is more than 70 housing counseling and legal service organizations. In almost all cases, they're not-for-profits. They serve every county across the state of New York, and they provide one-on-one direct assistance to homeowners, both in terms of just housing counseling, but also in terms of legal services. We at the HAF program have created a partnership with, as I said, over 70 of these organizations, and will be accepting applications directly from our HAP partners, as well as referring homeowners who reach out to us directly to the HAP network if they need additional assistance, either with applying to the HAF program, or if they need assistance in terms of if they're actually in an active litigation or court case and need legal services representation. We'll want to make sure to connect those applicants to a HAP partner, primarily a legal service partner. All of these services that are provided by the HAP program are free, so there are no costs to the borrowers. I think Rosemary and Tricia will talk more about that in a second, but it's important that you make sure if you are getting these services that you are working with a credible organization and not being charged for those services. So in terms of how homeowners will apply, there are generally 3 ways. So the first is we have created an online application portal, like a website, which you can access from a tablet, a desktop computer, a smartphone. It was set up very specifically to be easy to use. And applicants can go in and when we open on January 3rd, start an application. It's a relatively short process. It probably takes no more than 15 minutes. That said, if an applicant starts an application, needs to pause for any reason, whether that's because they need to go find additional documentation or they just get busy, you'll be able to save your application, pause, and come back at a later date. So we do encourage folks to make sure that they don't let the application linger for more than 30 days, or the application will be deemed inactive. In terms of documentation that we'll be collecting as part of that online application, it will be uploaded directly into the system. So as you go through the application, whether you're on a phone or a tablet or a desktop, you will be able to upload either a photograph or any Word document or all kinds of different documents. The system has been set up to accept multiple types of documents, which you can upload directly from your phone or your computer. Secondarily, for those who, for whatever reason, are going to struggle with online applications, whether you don't use the internet regularly or you don't have access to high-speed internet, we have created a call center, which is a live operator call center, which will be functioning 6 days a week when we open. And folks who are more comfortable or just not comfortable applying online will be able to call the call center and apply what we call by proxy, meaning a live operator at the call center will be able to take your application verbally from you and put it into the system on your behalf. So again, those who need assistance can just call the call center when we open and apply verbally over the phone. And then finally, there's a number of ways to get assistance with an application other than the call center. One is through, as I mentioned, this network of housing counseling and legal service groups. So the HAP network, again, there are 75 or more organizations operating statewide who will have direct access to the application system. So if you are working with one of those organizations, they can submit an application on your behalf with your permission. Alternatively, if a homeowner would like to apply with the assistance of a friend or a relative, that is perfectly fine too. And the system has been set up to both get your personal information, but also your advocate's information. And so if you do apply with the help of a friend or a family member or a relative or a neighbor, and you authorize that, we will take their information as well as your information and make sure to communicate to both of you throughout the life of the application as we process it. The last thing I want to say just about the application and the call center is we are operating in multiple languages. So right now, the application itself and the call center are in 9 languages. We're working very hard to get the 10th language, which is Yiddish, finalized. There's still been a little snafu there, but there are 9 languages that are available in the native language. And so if you want to apply online or if you want to apply through the call center, there are 9 languages in the natural language that you can use to apply. So now I would very much like to introduce our partners. We have 2 of our best organizations on Long Island with us tonight out of this HAP network. So first we have Rosemary Cantano, who is with the New York Legal Assistance Group. And we have Trisha Gleaton from the Community Development Corporation of Long Island. Both organizations have a deep, rich experience and long history working with homeowners at risk. And both have signed on to be partners under the HAF program. So I'd like to take this opportunity to turn it over to Rosemary and then Trisha to talk a little bit about the HAP services.
Thank you, Dina.
Rosemary?
And can everyone hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay. The first thing I have to do is apologize that I'm not on camera. I'm having some technological issues at my home. Our entire internet service has gone out, so I apologize, but I am here listening and they'll read me any questions that come through. So I, for the last 11 years, have been running the foreclosure prevention project at the New York Legal Assistance Group. And we are very proud and excited to take part in helping you access the HAF funds that you need in order to keep you in your homes. With everything so up in the air right now, and it seems like every week there's something else, anything we can do to help give you that sense of security so that the one thing you don't have to worry about is where you and your family are going to be living, that's what we're here to do. And basically what we can do is we want to help you every step of the way. A few things to keep in mind. This is a partnership. I want to make things as easy as we can for everyone. Oh, I just saw something that said there is no audio.
Well, we can hear you, Rosemary. You're doing great.
Okay. But we need to work together. So if I tell you I need documents, we need to get the documents. One thing I do want to say is there are things that need to be done in advance of applying. So that's why we're really here tonight to really stress to people to reach out to me, to reach out to Trisha, to reach out to anyone you can, any of the HAP partners in advance. So for example, we need to go talk to your servicer to see that the mortgage company is doing everything they're supposed to be doing first. And if they're not, we need to deal with that. So on January 3rd, when it opens, we don't want to still be in the situation where we're still trying to get in touch with your servicer. So anything that, getting in touch with us as soon as possible so we can make sure that not only with HAF, but in every other way that you're getting everything that you're supposed to be getting. And if for some reason you are not eligible for HAF funds or HAF funds does not look like it's going to help you, then we're here to help you try to figure out something different. So I ask you really to call, utilize our services. You don't have to travel into the city or to any offices. I know with things going on now, we can do things online, we can do things by mail, but if someone wants to meet in person, me and my staff are more than willing to do that as well. We will help anybody, whether you're computer savvy or not. And the other thing, as Dina mentioned, our services are all free of charge. There's also, I heard today, one of my clients called me and said that someone called them and said they could get them HAF, but there's $1,000 administration fee for the program. There are no fees for the program. So please, if anyone tells you that, do not listen and feel free to report them. And then our goal is to just help you from A to Z, and from the time when you apply to making sure that the funds that get to your lender or your taxes actually get applied correctly. And on that, I will turn it over to Trisha.
Thank you, Rosemary. Good evening, everyone. So my name is Trisha Gleaton. I know, thank you, Dina, for your introduction, and thank you for everyone who sort of assembled on this call. I work with the Community Development Corporation of Long Island. Like Rosemary, I've been doing this work for some time now. Community Development Corporation of Long Island, if you're not familiar with who we are and what we do, we're a nonprofit organization. We do not provide legal assistance and legal services. What we provide a number of things to address sustainable and affordable housing in the community and in the homeownership center. One of the things that we have a team that works to help the community address is mortgage default and delinquency. We've been doing this for a number of years. We've been doing this prior to the COVID-19 pandemic and the Homeowner Assistance Fund. And what housing counseling services are, if you're not aware, often it's an underutilized service. Sometimes people aren't aware that they're actually housing counselors. We're a HUD-approved housing counseling organization. We have HUD-certified counselors. Our services are free of charge. And what we are here to do is help a homeowner who is struggling to make mortgage payments or has already had some sort of hardship that has impacted their ability to make mortgage payments, understand, know what their options are, and be an advocate. Very often our team works in concert with legal service providers like Rosemary and her team to sort of help you determine what the best option is, what's the most sustainable and affordable solution, and help escalate cases when necessary, work to assist with preparing documents that may be submitted, and also just helping you navigate those challenging conversations with your servicer. So I would echo some of the sentiment that Rosemary already communicated about, this can be a scary time. Missing a mortgage payment, even one payment, can be anxiety provoking. And certainly we've all just been through a very challenging, what is almost 2 years now. And many people are finding themselves at the point that they might have taken some temporary steps to resolve their issue, and now we're not sure what to do going forward. So our team are working remotely. Like Rosemary said, you don't have to come in our office. We're actually seeing all of our appointments are conducted virtually. We have a client intake specialist who is bilingual, and we would need to complete an intake, gather some information from you, and then schedule an opportunity for you to meet with a housing counselor remotely and really start to talk about whether the Homeowner Assistance Fund is the right option for you, or like Rosemary said, there may be something else that can help you resolve what has happened in your circumstance. So our team services all of Long Island, that's Nassau and Suffolk County. You do generally need to be the owner and currently occupying the property, but our counselors can work alongside you to help advocate, answer questions. Our team does not, tell an individual what to do, but we're really a neutral third party that is involved and a little bit aware and trained to know what's going on, and take that along with what your desire as a homeowner is to try to get you connected to the right resources. And that certainly in this instance may also be this wonderful program that can be a unique opportunity for many, the Homeowner Assistance Fund. So that's it, in a nutshell. I know that you probably have questions, and this is a lot of information that you're getting tonight, but we are one of the HAF partners, one of the HAF housing counseling groups, and we can provide counseling services that can support the scenario along with legal assistance as well. So I think that's it, really kind of in a nutshell, to give you a brief overview of how we might be able to assist and what we might be able to do. And I'll
Thank you
turn
so
that back
much.
over.
Thank you, Trisha. That was really helpful. And Rosemary, both of you, we're very lucky to have these partners. And honestly, I'm going to talk now a little bit about how to find Trisha and Rosemary and other organizations who are part of the HAF program to provide these free services. I do want to just reiterate both what Trisha and Rosemary said, which is the HAF program is not charging homeowners, nor is the HAP network. So if you are reaching out to a housing counseling organization or a legal service organization, or if you want to apply to this program, you should know that anybody who is asking you for money as a condition of that is probably a scam and should be ignored. So what should you do instead? This is the best thing you can do. One is you can come to our website, which is live right now, also in 10 languages. The website is nyhomeownerfund.org. There is a number of really important documents there, information, fact sheets that you'll need to get ready to apply on January 3rd. So we have an application guide, which is a step-by-step sort of rundown of everything you'll be asked when you do get to open the when we do open the application period in early January. This will just really help you know what the application process looks like. It has a document checklist. So this will give you a list of documents that you may need to upload as part of your application in order for you to be ready to apply on January 3rd. It has a frequently asked questions, which gives a ton more information about income verification and the eligibility requirements of the program, as we've discussed tonight. And then lastly, and most importantly, it has an automatic lookup so you can find organizations like Community Development Corporation of Long Island and New York Legal Assistance Group, so Trisha's group and Rosemary's group. If you put your zip code, so there's a link on the website that says get help. There you will put in your zip code, and all of the participating HAF groups that are serving that zip code will appear with the right contact information, including Trisha and Rosemary. So we strongly urge you to take a minute and go to the website now, look at some of these documents and get yourselves ready to apply. We have also opened our call center early. So they're on slightly more limited hours. They're Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. When we go live in early January, those hours will be extended to both earlier morning, later evening, and weekends. But for now, we do have live operators answering the phones Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., also in 10 languages. That number is 844-776-9423. Again, 844-776-9423. And any questions you have beyond what's available on the website can be answered there. So with that, I would love it if we could take a minute and see if there are questions that we could expand on, anything we didn't cover, or if folks just have more detailed questions, please put them in the chat or in the Q&A. And I guess I would ask Melody, do you want Amy to read out those questions, or would you like somebody on your team to do that?
Yes, thank you so much, Dana, and everyone for the great information that you provided our constituents. I'll pass it over to Joe. He will be handling our Q&A portion. Thank you again.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. I'm Joe Agavino. I work with Senator Brooks. I'm his communications director. And what I'll do here is just read off some of these questions. Off the bat, we had what seemed like a very good, very good question for the subject. And what I'm going to do is just put it out there, and whoever, which one of our panelists thinks that they have that response, please just chime in. So first, we have Constance Clemente, who asked, we have a home in testamentary trust, which is for the sole benefit of my brother, who is the only resident of the home. He has lost his full-time job due to COVID. He is working part-time, but is having difficulty paying the taxes due to his lost income. Can he receive aid for the real estate taxes on that home?
So the answer is yes. You should definitively apply to the program when we open on January 3rd. Property taxes, including accumulated back debt in both water and sewage bills, is an eligible use under the program. And so we would strongly encourage that your brother apply when we open to see if we can assist him with those back taxes.
And if I can add, this is Rosemary, I would also strongly that if your brother or you could give me or another legal services a call, this way we can help, because there's going to be issues with showing the trust agreement and explanations, and we can certainly help you to streamline the process. So for anyone who has not a, so to speak, cookie cutter situation, I highly would advise that you reach out to one of the legal services.
It's a really important point, Rosemary. And so I would just ask again, if you go to this website, newyorkhomeownerfund.org, and put in your zip code, the contact information for NYLAG, for where Rosemary works, will appear, and you can call that number right tomorrow, Rosemary, no time like the present, and get connected to just make sure if you have complications or somewhat unusual circumstances around ownership and title issues, that you're getting that assistance in advance of January 3rd to make the application process easier. So thank you for that point, Rosemary.
Rosemary, if or Dina, actually, if I can ask, is that the same number that we have on the screen right now?
So but the number and the website will get you to either our call center or our home website. And that is where you can look up the contact information for Rosemary or Trisha or any of the groups that are serving Long Island.
I actually put our direct email for my unit in the chat. So it's there, contact fpp@nylag.org. So you can just shoot us a direct email.
Actually, Rosemary, I'm going to ask you if you can repost that to the under the category of everyone, because that didn't get through to everyone. I just or
I apologize.
no problem. Yeah, I apologize. I didn't mean to call you out, but that was one of the things that I wanted to make sure that everyone has that for. There we go. Perfect. Okay. All right. Next question. Let's see what we have here. Is this Santo Porimani? And if I pronounce anyone's name wrong, I do apologize. Is this program for senior citizens who make less than $45,000 and need repairs done to their home?
So unfortunately, the program is not for home repairs, although seniors who are behind on their mortgage, on their taxes, on their water or sewage bills, co-op or condo fees are eligible to apply for that type of assistance. That said, I would highly recommend, if you are in a situation where home repair is really what you need, there are a number of programs through my agency, the New York State Homes and Community Renewal. And I'll ask my colleague Amy to put our website into the chat as well to everyone. So folks who have other types of needs that are not contemplated under this New York HAF program can still look to see if there are other programs available through the state that might assist you with things like home repair. So Amy, if you're able to put that into the chat, just the landing page for our home website. Thank you.
Robin Sagermeister, your request was to get these different contact info. As you'll see, as we just did, we put several of them into the chat. And at the end of this, we'll, of course, reiterate some of these, as well as how to contact us through Senator Brooks's office. Philip Lafazzo is asking, would you please tell us what documents we need to gather in advance of applying?
I love that question. So, no, I love it. We've worked very, very hard, to be frank, to learn from some of the past emergency programs that have come out as a result of COVID, and have tried very hard to minimize the number of documents that applicants will need to submit as part of the program. That said, because of the federal rules around HAF and these funds, there is some amount of documentation that we will require that cannot be waived. So the answer to the question largely comes down to what information you're willing to provide as part of the application process. So for instance, we do need proof that you own the home. That said, in our application process, we ask for permission from you to provide us with your date of birth and your address. And with that information, we can do an automatic lookup into public records to see if we can find record that you actually are the registered owner for the home, in which case we will not ask you to upload any documents regarding ownership proof. Similarly, when it comes to identification, so that you are who you say you are and not, a robot. Similarly, there we ask for your date of birth and for your social security number. So those who are willing and able to provide those two pieces of information, we also have an automatic lookup built into the system that will validate through a system called Precise ID that you are who you say you are as part of the application process. If we're able to make that match, which happens instantaneously in the application, we will not require you to upload any documentation regarding identification. And then finally, probably the most complicated aspect is the income verification. So as we've said earlier, Treasury requires that you be income eligible for this program. We talked about the 100% of area median income. There, we will also try to automate a validation that you are income eligible for this program. This will require social security numbers, not just for you, but for all adult members of your household. If you are willing and able to provide us with that information, we will do what we're calling a proxy income verification using State Department of Labor information, and will not require that you upload any income documents. In all cases, applicants will need to upload at least one document, and that document will be the proof that you owe something in terms of housing costs. So whether that's mortgage arrears, property taxes, water, sewer, co-op condo, manufactured home loan, lot rent, we're going to need one document that there is no other way to get except from you, the applicant, a document that shows that you owe some amount of money to some creditor related to your housing payments. So what I would strongly urge, I tried to give you sort of the best case scenario. So in the best case scenario, it's only one document that you'll need to upload. But if you go to this website address, nyhomeownerfund.org, you can see something called our document checklist, which tells you exactly what I just covered here. So if you provide this, then we won't ask for that. If you can't provide this, then here's the kinds of documents we'll need. I would say, roughly speaking, for those who can't provide some of the automatic lookup information, it's roughly about 4 to 5 documents that you'll need to upload. But again, it really depends on what information you're willing to share. And it is all very specifically spelled out in this document checklist on our website.
Thank you, Dina. Melody, I'll ask if you don't mind just posting that link again on the chat, just so anyone who is interested in finding it can find it pretty easily. I have another question actually by Philip, who asked the last question. Since he asked one good question, I feel like he's got in him to ask another. And that is, if he understands correct, he wants to understand whether or not, if you get funds and then leave your home in less than 5 years, must you repay? And what if you sell on a short sale or otherwise do not get any money when you leave?
Oh, Philip, you very
nailing it, right?
knowledgeable about all of this stuff. So this is an excellent question that we didn't really cover. So allow me to just expand a little bit on that question. We do have a requirement as part of the HAF program that when we make a financial award to an applicant, there is something that we ask you to sign called a promissory note. It's like a grant agreement between the program and the applicant. It does require that the homeowner remain in the house for 5 years without a sale or a refinance. And it does require that if either a sale or a refinance occurs within 5 years, the program may seek to recapture the funds that were granted to you under this program. We do have an ability to waive that recapture in certain circumstances, of which the short sale would likely be a good example of where we would forego that. So if we help a homeowner get out of default with these funds, but then a year from now there's a redefault and they just realize they cannot retain the home and want to sell the home as part of a short sale or a preservation outcome, we have the autonomy or the authority to forgive or basically waive that recapture requirement. That said, what we're trying to game against with the recapture, what we don't want is to be providing, up to $50,000 to homeowners who turn around the next day and sell the home and pocket the cash, right? So just to be perfectly frank, we're looking to make sure homeowners are using these funds to retain their home ownership option, and only in cases where for whatever reason that becomes not viable financially, that is where we would look to waive the recapture requirement.
And if I can add, this is Rosemary, because I do a lot of short sales, so it is an excellent question. We also have the ability, your attorney, to go to the lender also and try to get them to take off some more money. So, if your life does change and for whatever reason you can't keep the home, I would just say get an experienced real estate attorney and they'll be able to work it out with all the different partners.
All right, thank you very much. We do have a guest who's asking, what is the timing of the turnaround, as there seems to be a January 15th moratorium. Mm-hmm. And if this person is in an application phase, can their servicer start foreclosure?
That's an excellent question. And the truth is there is no prohibition, much like if you're thinking about how it worked in rent. This program does not have the ability to require servicers to pause any kind of foreclosure proceeding because you've applied to the HAF program. So that's unfortunate news. But the other side of that I want to be very clear on is we have reached out to the Office of Court Administration, which is the entity that oversees all of the foreclosure and eviction proceedings in New York State, and have asked them very specifically to make sure that if we get an applicant who is in active litigation, say a foreclosure process, and we are informing the court that there is an applicant who is being reviewed under the HAF program for award, that they would have those judges voluntarily pause the foreclosure action. Now, we can't guarantee that in every case, but I will say we've had at least half a dozen conversations with the Office of Court Administration in which they are very sympathetic and very much want to know if we have an applicant in active litigation who's being reviewed under HAF, that they would be, pressing the judges who oversee the housing court for foreclosure to pause any type of foreclosure action. The other thing I want to say on this point, so it's also an excellent question, is we are going to process applications in the order they're received. And that is because we want to move funds very quickly for those who are applying and not have a period of waiting unnecessarily. That said, if we do get applications in which the homeowner identifies that they are in active litigation, and again, that may be foreclosure or an eviction proceeding, if it's a condo or co-op owner or a manufactured homeowner, those applications will be prioritized for two reasons. One is, again, we want to communicate with the Office of Court Administration that applicant may be being reviewed under HAF, but also to make a referral to a group like Rosemary's, like NYLAG or any of our other legal service providers, to make sure that if you are not represented by an attorney in that foreclosure or eviction proceeding, that you get that free assistance through the HAF.
The question actually brings up a very important point, which is, even if you think your HAF funds are going to be distributed the following day, if you get legal documents, don't ignore them. If you get served a summons and complaint, get in touch with, one of the HAF agencies. The court case will continue on, and you want to make sure that you are involved in it. So please don't ignore any kind of legal papers that come just because you have a HAF application in.
All right, excellent. Just to reiterate that this program does begin on January 3rd, as stated, and it is a first come, first served basis. So being ready on day one is really the best way to go. And you have all of these outlets to reach out to answer more questions or to help get your ducks in a row, so to speak. Obviously, these different organizations where you have these links and phone numbers, you can also reach out to the Senator's office, and we'll do our best to help you get in contact with the people that you need to. So I've got a couple more questions, but one very quickly. Max is asking, what's the total budget for the fund?
The total award from the Department of Treasury to New York State was just under $539 million. Some of those funds are going to pay for the administration of the program. So building out the technology, case management, call center, website. Roughly speaking, there's about $455 million available to homeowners through the fund.
That it's a lot of money, but goes very quickly in situations like this, I would understand. So again, I'll reiterate that January 3rd is the starting date, and it will be a first come, first served situation. Joe Paul is asking us if approved, is the applicant liable for taxes on the amount?
It is not a taxable event. So a HAF award per Treasury, and then IRS has come out and opined specifically at receiving funds under the HAF program on your behalf to a third-party creditor is not taxable.
All right. We have someone that is asking, what if, this particular person had family help them get by last year and need to pay that back?
So that's a good question. It's a little bit complicated because under the Treasury guidance, you are technically supposed to be delinquent on your monthly housing payments. And we know that some folks have struggled and done, whatever it took to stay current. I would encourage you to apply because getting into the specifics is hard to do in a group setting like this. I will say, technically you are to be delinquent. There are a couple exceptions to that, one in the mortgage context and one related to those who are currently unemployed. So I would actually argue one of two things. One is definitely apply on January 3rd to see if you meet our definition of eligibility. And also, no matter what, reach out to one of our HAF partner network groups who can assist you even beyond what HAF can do in the event that you are not eligible for a financial award. And again, I would do that by going to nyhomeownerfund.org, put in your zip code, Rosemary's group, Trisha's group, and others. Everybody who's functioning in your zip code will show up with their contact information.
So at the very least, you can't help to put it out there, is what you're saying.
I'm saying you should apply and you should definitely get assistance from HAF. There are rules that we just don't have control over as it relates to how Treasury envisioned who is eligible, and delinquency was one of those conditions.
All right, is an applicant liable for repaying the grant or loan?
So we've covered this. There's a 5-year promissory note, or what we're calling like a grant agreement between the program and the applicant. If the homeowner remains in the home for 5 years and does not sell the home and does not refinance on their existing mortgage, then the grant is fully forgiven at the end of 5 years. If there is a sale or a refinance during the 5-year period, we do have the discretion to try to recapture those funds, and we do have the ability to waive that in certain circumstances.
Terrific. Thank you very much. That is it on the questions that have been submitted. I'll give it another 20, 30 seconds if anyone has any last minute questions that they want to ask. While we're waiting to see, I will just take this time to thank all of our participants here, our extremely knowledgeable, learned, and capable panelists here who've given this information. Their contact info is in the chat. You can always reach out to us at Senator Brooks's office, 516-882-0630, or email brooks@nysenate.gov if you want further information. And I'm just going to give it another 10 seconds and see if there's anything else. From this, once again, I'm going to thank everyone that's involved. I'm going to turn it over now back to Lucia. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Again, thank you, Dina, Amy, Rosemary, and Tricia, with this wealth of information. I hope that everybody utilizes the services. Really, there's a lot of resource out there. So I really hope you take the opportunity to look into this and to go into the website as well with the New York State Homeowners Fund. So again, thank you so much, Senator Brooks, staff as well, Melody and Joe. And again, thank you, Dina, Amy, and Rosemary and Tricia for being with us this evening. Again, on behalf of everyone, thank you.
Be safe, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Robin, just reach out to us tomorrow and we'll make sure that we get you the answer that you're looking for. Okay. Thank you very, very much once again.
Right.